Welcome to Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. I am the Uncanny Omar, and the latest Batman Omnibus is here. This time around, it's No Man's Land Omnibus Volume 2, so we are wrapping up this era of the Dark Knight. So, join me for my overview. So here it finally is. We just had a couple of delays, but this wraps up the No Man's Land era of Batman. This cover here is drawn by the legendary Bill Sienkiewicz. You have Batman No Man's Land Omnibus Volume 2, the DC logo there. Check out the spine here, which I love this because you can vaguely tell that there are some buildings back there, towers. But anyway, Batman No Man's Land Omnibus Volume 2, DC logo. Way too many creators probably to put right there in credit. A new age is dawning in No Man's Land, but with it comes an ominous shadow. Every time I see the word ominous, just like the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, I always think of the word omnibus. And this book here retails for $150. Who is this bald gentleman right there that is looking at blueprints for Gotham? To kind of give you an idea of what these books are going to look like when they're on your shelf, that is a wonderful design. Road to No Man's Land, same building, same bats, and No Man's Land Omnibus Volume 1 and Volume 2. The only big difference, and I mentioned this on my overview of the first Omnibus, is that the dust jackets are printed in these glossy stock, where the Road to No Man's Land is this just flat matte. So there's non-glossy paper on the dust jacket. But now, speaking of dust jacket, let's look at it underneath the dust jacket. There we have this image of all the destruction that has happened to Gotham City after the big earthquake. So, let's crack this book open, talk a little bit about the plot in here, show off the artwork, and then we'll look at the build of the book. Alright, let's crack this open. Love the book and paper there. No Man's Land Omnibus Volume 2 with the Bat Shadow. The table of contents right here. All the credits to the people that put this together. The book was printed in Canada, and the pages are broken down by the issue. I love the fact that they credit the cover artist and page numbers in the table of contents, just to let you know, rest assured, that this does have page numbers throughout the omnibus. And I'm saying that not to be a jerk about things. It's just sometimes books are printed with a table of contents and there are no page numbers. Alright, so what does this collect? This collects Azrael, Agent of the Bat, 58 through 61, Batman, 569 to 574, Batman Legends of the Dark Knight, 122 to 126, Batman Shadow of the Bat, 89 through 94, The Batman Chronicles, 18, No Man's Land number 0, Secret Files number 1 of No Man's Land, Catwoman 75 through 77, Detective Comics 736 to 741, Nightwing 38 and 39, Robin 68 through 73, and then there's some pinups here from No Man's Land Gallery number 1. So the book has 1,080 pages, and in here you're going to see work of Greg Rucka stepping in here, Devin Grayson, Chuck Dixon, John Ostrander, Larry Hama, just to name a few of the writers. And as far as the artists, you have all sorts of artists in here. You have the works of Damian Scott, Mike Deodato Jr., Del Eaglesham, just to name a few of the artists. Did I say Damian Scott? Yeah, I did. Because, well, Batgirl. So, this is a really good story. I really enjoyed this one. This is very much like the first volume. You have some ups and downs of the type of stories that are collected in here. And I'm not going to go through each one of them. I'm just mainly showcasing the artwork. We have a brand new Batgirl, and this is, how do I word this? The second Batgirl donning this Batgirl costume. And that's what pretty much No Man's Land issue 0 is. How the first person donning that Batgirl costume got around to donning the Batgirl costume. But this Homecoming is so good. I like this. So you have the return of Bane. Bane has now been free of Venom. He doesn't need Venom anymore. He broke Venom pretty much is the way he states it. And he wants to come back to Gotham to become its king. So I really like this idea of him tricking everybody. into thinking that he is trying to get into Gotham with this truck, but instead he's using the truck as a ramp because he's really driving this van. And that's how he crosses the bridge. Because remember, No Man's Land is this isolated area that is Gotham City, and it's broken apart from the rest of the United States. As a matter of fact, the United States has sanctioned it No Man's Land, meaning nobody should go in and out of Gotham. And really not a lot of people are trying to come into Gotham. He's one of the few. This one here, drawn by Mike Deodato Jr. There's this awesome fight between him and Batman. You know, he states that he was able to beat Venom. He can beat Batman. Almost, what the hell? Uncanny Omar talked pretty one day. Here's Robin versus the Rat King. And also, not Rat King, sorry. Ninja Turtles on the brain. Rat Catcher. As well as Mr. Freeze. This one's written by Chuck Dixon, drawn by Stas Johnson. Gordon Purcell draws this particular issue here, this fill-in issue. So, the stories vary. There's all sorts of different stories in here of how this particular era of Gotham City is surviving. How, this is Paul Gulacci right here, how a lot of the citizens are dealing with it, how the criminals are dealing with it. And there are some really important things throughout this particular volume that happen that have ramifications for the Bat family for what's to come in the next few years. This is a team up with Lynx here. Joker plays a minimal part towards the first half of the book and then plays a huge part, which we'll talk about here in a little bit without going into spoilers. By now, Harley Quinn is an established character of the DC universe. She comes from the animated series, but she made her first appearance in the DC Comics in the first Omnibus. For the first time collected in here. So if you heard me going through what's collected in here, I want to make this really quick and clear. In case you're thinking you can upgrade these because this has extra material, it doesn't. Unlike Volume 1, which has pretty much about 2 issues worth of new material, this one doesn't. Everything that's collected in this one has been collected before in the thick trades. So if you only upgrade to Omnibus format because you're like me and want 1 or 2 extra issues, then it might not be worth it for you. It might just be worth keeping those particular thick trade paperbacks. So this shows what happens to the different groups, what's going on with the different gangs all over Gotham, how Batman is slowly getting his city back. This is one of my favorite stories. Again, this is the team up with Bane. Chuck Dixon, Matt Broom drawing this one. And again, Bane breaking into Gotham City, and he blows up this building. And Batman doesn't think that that's something Bane would do. Well, there is a twist as to somebody hiring Bane to do that. This issue right here I found really interesting. This is The Message. This is written by Alyssa Quitney and drawn by Michael Zoli from Sandman. So it has a very Sandman-ish type of feel to it. This man is hearing voices. And again, this is all after the giant earthquake. And it all ties into superheroes. I do love this era of Tim Drake and Stephanie Brown. I really enjoyed both of them together, even though they were a disaster for each other. I really did enjoy reading about them. Because, I mean, there's that teenage drama that they're going through. And Stephanie's going through her own drama with her mom. Her mom she found the spoiler costume, and she's asking her daughter, confronting her daughter about it. This is the story with Leslie and Zaz and Killer Croc and her just trying to follow the rules of being a doctor without getting caught in the middle of all of this gang war. This guy right here, Petit, he used to be a SWAT team member, and now he's part of the Gotham Police Department gang, but he doesn't follow the rules. This story right here, man, I swear I could do this issue by issue, but I know that's not what people want to do, sit here and listen to this guy talk for hours about one particular story arc in Batman's history. But this is such a cool story. This is the trial of Commissioner Gordon. You can find out why he's being held on trial. And it's Two-Face playing both parts. Oh, that's so awesome. He's playing Harvey Dent and Two-Face. Oh, this is such a good story. And it also shows the strong relationship between Harvey Dent, Two-Face, and Renee Montoya. that carries on to Greg Rucka's run on Batman. So like I said, there are ramifications of what's happening here. There's an attack on Oracle's clock tower. Yes, these issues of Nightwing. Now, these two, oh my gosh. These two belong together. Look at that. Scott McDaniel on artwork. This, Babs, Oracle. Keep in mind, this is before Flashpoint New 52. So Barbara Gordon is bound to a wheelchair, and she's going as Oracle. Kind of the brains behind the operations. Man, I love this era. Such a good era of Batman. There's Blockbuster going through his own thing. So they, even though it's like ties into Nightwing and Robin, those issues are building up their own story arcs. And overall this is the story of No Man's Land Zero, what happened to Bruce Wayne, and then who this new Batgirl, well, the first Batgirl was. Now, the last story I'm going to talk about in here, because there's a lot to talk about, some Jim Ballant issues of Catwoman, is the story of Endgame. And I swear, I think reading this one, I remember thinking, alright, I think the Joker definitely crossed the line. And he's done a lot of dark and twisted things. But what he does in this particular volume, this Endgame, by the way, wraps up all the story arcs together. Right before this, Commissioner Gordon set aside his hatred of Batman for ever walking out on Gotham, and both of them now are working together to get Gotham back. By the way, how Batman gains his trust, I thought was so on character and so badass, and I can't talk about it, but if you read it, you know. But Endgame is wrapping up all the loose ends, and where has Joker been? What has he been doing? Because you know it's Joker. How is he not the main player in all of this? He plays background player throughout the entirety of No Man's Land. He shows up here and there as a guest star. Sometimes he takes over the book, but what he does in Endgame, holy crap, it's just a whole new level of evil. And I remember when I read it, I did not agree with how it ended. I was pissed when I read what happened in this, because I remember thinking, that's not fair. And that's not how I worded that, by the way. I was a lot more vulgar, because I didn't think what happened in that story was fair, and it wasn't oh man, this is hard to talk about without spoiling it. I don't think it was warranted, but I mean, the characters moved on from that, and it did. Never mind. I think that's all I'm going to say. Speaking in code is difficult when you want to talk about this important part that happens in here. Anyway, Endgame will forever live in my head because of that. And yes, there have been several Batman Endgames. I've realized that. But this one in particular stood out to me. And there's a couple of Aftermath issues, but then we get the beginning of the pinup gallery. And by the way, these are Tales of No Man's Land. Or Tales from No Man's Land. This doesn't spoil anything. But here is your credits to the pages that are to follow for the pinups of the different characters. Some of these pictures are just right down gorgeous. And I wonder if some of them were supposed to be covers and then editors stepped in. There's also the Secret Files right here. I love this animated look to No Man's Land. That is so freaking awesome. And hopefully one day we'll get a Batman Adventures Omnibus. Batman Beyond Omnibus would be great. This is all from the Secret Files. It's kind of like the handbook of No Man's Land. But by the end of this, there is resolution. I know some people weren't happy with it, but I thought it was ended the best way possible. Here's your timeline of the earthquake to the end, because it does end at Christmas time. Now, as far as the binding of this book, behold that eye. 1,080 pages, sewn binding. It's the way it lays over towards the beginning without me having to hold it down. That's mainly because of the thickness of this end paper there. And towards the end, Kane. Now that guy plays a big role in the next big crossover. Bruce Wayne, murderer, Batman fugitive. But that's another story. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsors. If you live in Europe and are interested in buying and pre-ordering Omnis, then you should definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC books within the EU, flat rate shipping of €12 for all EU countries, bulletproof packaging, and all emails will be answered within 24 hours. They offer a huge selection of out-of-print books. Just head over to waltzcomicshop.com for more great deals and rare titles. And for a limited time, you can use the code nearmintcon, all one word at the checkout, to get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of over 40 euros. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for Omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking this up, if you have the trade paperbacks already, if you have never read this and this is your first time reading it. If you have any questions, leave them down below. What other Batman stories you want to see in omnibus format? I'd love to see War Games, or really Legacy and Contagion really belong in omnibus format. That era is so great. But really anything after Crisis on Infinite Earths. Anyway, this is the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.